Hi, Steph. Welcome to Virtual Visitation. How's it going?
Hello. Yeah, I'm fine. Thanks for having me.
And who's the lovely gentleman that's hiding on the side?
Uh, my husband Chester. Come say hi.
Hi, ni hao, penyo.
Yeah.
Sorry, every single time when I see Chester, I don't know why, but I feel inclined to practice my Mandarin skills, even though it's
Well,
rusty.
not bad, not bad.
I try, man. It's the least I could do to foster racial
Mm-hmm.
harmony in Singapore. So, just a brief introduction. What do you normally do in terms of like the local music scene?
Okay. I manage my husband's death metal band. Chester's band is called Dispiteous. I've been managing his band since 2015. So what I do is that I liaise with distros or um maybe like even like just random people. Like we can like go like to like maybe like a shop or like when okay the last time we did like a promo like impromptu promo was when we were in Japan last year. Then we were at this like record store called This Union. It was in Shinjuku, and then he just went up to two like Japanese metalheads, and then he's like, "Oh, here's my band, have a listen." Then I was like, "Huh, what?" But they were very kind, and then they sent like a message in English. I think they translated it like from Japanese, and they were like, "Hi, we met at like the record store," and then it's like they were like, "Oh, can't wait to see you guys play in Japan." So yeah, I guess we do a lot of promo like online and offline.
So, on the topic of promoting a band, for example, like now that we have like the proliferation of social media tools and such, what are the normal mediums that you normally go for to promote Dispiteous material?
Um, for these BTS, their following is a lot bigger on Facebook. So I try to push more on Facebook, but everybody prefers like Instagram in terms of like a more designated area for marketing. But I can't seem to get the following to be as strong as Facebook. So 60% of my focus is on Facebook. Yeah.
I would say it's because it's the now it's like the traditional way of promoting a band. If you're talking about
Mm-mm.
social media, because everyone probably
Mm-mm.
has like a Facebook account and such, and
Mm-mm.
Instagram is gaining popularity, but
Mm-mm.
it's also kind of hard to get the attention of some people. Like, of course, you have your hashtags and you have to do like aggressive promotions, and some people do like sponsored ads and everything. But
Yeah.
then again, like if you're talking about social media by and large, it's kind of hard because there's 1,001 bands who are probably going to promote their material all at the same time.
Yeah.
So, what are the one of the ways that you go about in trying to get the word out for Dispiteous when it comes to like getting people to listen to their material aside from social media?
Mm, I social media wise, actually for social media, I don't pay for sponsored posts. So what I usually do, okay, we talk about social media first. So what I usually do is that I use my own personal Instagram. So as you know, or maybe you don't know, but I also do marketing for an American death metal band called Incantation. So their frontman has given me permission to use their platform to promote Chester's band, which is what I have not done yet. But um, I put Dispiteous' Instagram handle in my bio. So once in a while, I will post something to do with Incantation, and then I will use the Incantation account to repost from my own personal account. So you know their following is very big. First of all, they are verified. Secondly, they have about 50K followers on Instagram. So if let's say I wear like Incantation merch and then I repost it to their official Instagram, and then their fans will click on my name, and then they will see Dispiteous' Instagram handle in my bio. So that's how I gain followers. Yeah. But in terms of like not social media wise, we don't have like demo tapes. So what we usually do is like at gigs, if let's say Chester is not performing, so we'll just like keep chat. And then he will say things like, oh, by the way, I have a band. And then he will, and then usually the person will be like, oh, are you on on Spotify? Then Chester will like take his phone or like her phone and type like, okay, Dispiteous, okay, yeah, this is my album. Yeah, so we usually do what you call just like random banter, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say like at the end of the day, face-to-face communication and introducing your material to like people at shows is
Mm.
the most authentic and the best way to go, because I feel like in order for you to get the attention of the person, if you strike a conversation and make a impression on them, in most cases they are more inclined towards checking out what you have on offer as opposed to putting it online as well. And this is something that I stand by as well, because for me as well, like when I come up with my content, as much as I put it on social media and such, it's just to create awareness, and it's a, if you like check it out, you'll check it out. But I go for shows as well and I talk to people, and it's interesting to hear that they do check out the material or they want to know more or they would like to be included. And I think creating that kind of grassroots work, it really helps in getting the following that you need. Aside from performing on stage, of course. But something that you pointed out, two things which were going to Japan and passing your demos and hooking up with Incantation. Firstly, I'd like to know about the Japan story, because I know for a fact you and Chester do go to like Japan. I wouldn't say frequently, but you make it a point to be there at least like once a year or sorts.
Yeah. Yeah, because we go to Japan to attend this festival called Asakusa Death Fest. And actually Wormrod has played there, I think in 2017. But we started going only last year. We missed it in 2018 by like 1 or 2 months. But we went to another like spin-off of Asakusa Death Fest in 2018. So 2018 was Chester's first time in Japan. So after that we made it like a yearly like ritual. Unfortunately, due to COVID-19, we cannot go this year, but we went last year, and the death metal scene there is actually very big. So we thought it would be very good to sort of like market these videos there. Yeah. So I I I feel like maybe one day I can bring them there, but it's just very hard now due to the current situation. Yeah.
I would say that you guys are probably like, well, these PTS, like they are pretty well placed to perform in Japan because of the scale of the venue. Because what I noticed about the Japanese people is that they are very, well, not only are they hospitable, but they're very receptive to
Yeah.
ideas and artists coming to your country to perform and such. In your point of view, do you feel like this is something that is not seen in Singapore, or what, or rather like what do you feel is the main difference between the Japanese audience and the Singapore audience when it comes to our kind of music?
I feel like Japanese people, they let the music do the talking. Like, okay, first of all, Chester cannot speak Japanese. I took Japanese for like a year. Like I took business Japanese. So I'm currently okay for Japanese proficiency level, right? It's actually the lower the number, the more noob you are. So it's like the highest is N1 and then the lowest is N5. So I'm currently at N4 because I took business Japanese at 2010 in 2010. So I can speak a little bit. So but if let's say I choose to not speak Japanese, somehow we can still like talk to the fans there, because uh I feel as long as you have like a common ground, because you know Japanese people are really polite. So if let's say they want to relay something to you, but they just cannot say it in English, and then they will really take the time to go and Google Translate, or like they will play like a game of charades, like yeah, then we were like, oh, okay, yeah. But like in Singapore, I feel we are like a lot more shy, and like we don't really see like non-locals at gigs that often. Maybe once in a while you'll see like a Caucasian, or like maybe like a non-Singaporean, but most of the time we tend to hang out in groups. Yeah. But I wouldn't say that we are elitist. We are just very shy. Like you know, Singaporeans are a shy bunch. Yeah. So
Thank you for debunking that myth, because I would say like, I think there's this assumption thinking that we are either like standoffish or we're unapproachable, but I would say in reality it's more of the I think we are just so accustomed to our own comfort zones in the sense that like, if you go for a show, we just want to stick within like our circle of friends. And more often or not, like if you see unfamiliar face come for a show, we are not too sure what to make of it. You know, like we will just assume that person is with another friend or something. And it's not that we do not want to welcome them for our shows. Like we are more than welcome to come in and check out the bands and everything. But I think by and large, we are kind of like introverts in the sense like, how do I approach this person? Because you don't know what to expect. Unless they make the first move, then maybe, they will probably understand how it goes. And then whereas for like the Japanese, what I realized that for them, they're always happy to have people coming for their shows and everything. I think that's why they create this very welcoming feeling that allows people to open up and such. And I would say that in the Singapore case study, for example, I feel like we could take some notes from them in trying to be a little more approachable in that sense. And I'm not saying that we are not. We are. I think some people are doing their best and everything, but we still have some way to go in that sense. But speaking of using yourself as means to promote like Dispiteous and even Incantation, what are the challenges that you face when it comes to dealing with, I would say, trolls or hecklers or people who are not there to engage with you for the music, but for like other, ulterior motives? Like, how do you handle that? I mean, for one, like if I can put it by that, to be a woman in the rock and metal scene, like it takes a lot of barriers to kick down and having to like some sort like show them that you are there because of the music and not because you are some sort of casual bystander. Like, how do you like go about like dealing with that kind of misogynist mindset of some of the fans out there or some of the listeners out there?
I usually just tell myself like out of sight, out of mind, which is why my Instagram, right, I restrict my comments. So if let's say you are following me, but I'm not following you, you cannot comment on my posts. Because before I restricted my Instagram, my personal Instagram, right, I used to get a lot of shit like white men will like call me like poser, or like people will just be like, oh, can I like worship your body? Like just like really like unsolicited like gross shit. So I started to restrict my account. And then because my personal account is like it splits between like Incantation and Dispiteous. So I get fans from all around the world. So and then sometimes the frontman of Incantation will mention me in his stories. So they'll always be like, so they'll probably be like, who is this Steph Yong? And then they'll go and check it out. Then they'll be like, oh, it's an Asian chick. And you know, like some people have yellow fever. So they will like just send like gross stuff. So I guess for my online presence, I just restrict, so they can't get to me. In terms of like gigs wise, I haven't been like harassed lah. So yeah, I guess it's because I'm always with like people, like I'm always with Chester, or like I'm always with like you or Amir, you know, like just someone there. So I guess I feel very very safe lah in the scene. Yeah, I do feel very safe. Yeah.
And that's the thing that kind of pisses me off as well. Like I feel that in this day and age, everyone can listen to rock and metal music, regardless of your gender, regardless of your background. And yet, like when you go online and you see all of this narrow-minded comments, it kind of defeats the purpose of being the genre itself, because the whole idea is to go against the grain of all this crap that we deliver on a day-to-day basis. And yet, you have guys who are not taking like women in the rock and metal scene seriously. Like, why do you feel that is still that mindset is being ingrained in that thick skull of theirs?
I guess some people feel like we women choose a certain subculture for clout. Like she's probably like into metal because she wants to date like a long hair like metalhead, or like a beefy guy that listens to like black metal, you know. But then again, in the Western society, because I follow a lot of like metalheads from the US or from the UK, and they seem to be more accepting of like female metalheads. But I think uh like to in the current situation now, right, I feel it's more of like a race thing, like a racial thing. Like just last year, a follower, he was very smart because back then when I restricted my Instagram, right, I let people who follow me comment on my Instagram. So he was following me for a long time. But when this COVID-19 thing started, right, he commented on a post that I made in December. This is all on Instagram. Then he posted, I think like he commented last month, he's like, oh, your race eats like rats. Like, oh, fucking Chinese people, blah, blah, blah. Then I was like, but you've been following me for a long time. And just because COVID-19 like originated in China, and then you lump me in China, like I'm part of China. Like I'm not, like I'm Chinese, but like I'm not from China. And then not everyone in China eats bats. You know what I mean? And then that guy is like, oh, you fucking like rat eater. Like he didn't even say bat, he's like rat. Then I'm like, how dense like can you be? But then again, like I blocked and deleted him. Yeah. So yeah, I think now it's not more of like a gender discrimination thing. It's like maybe like more of like a racial plus gender discrimination thing. Like, oh, you're Chinese female metalhead. Oh my god, you eat rat. Oh my god, you know. Yeah, like I can't believe I actually experienced it firsthand. And then there's this like other incident that just happened like really recently. I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks back. I I reposted one of my photos on the Incantation Facebook page, and I was wearing an oversized Incantation shirt. So I mean everybody could not see my shorts. And then some people were like, oh my god, why is this like Chinese bitch like not wearing shorts? Oh my god, gross. She's the one that started the virus. So like I couldn't control the comment, so I ended up deleting the post. So I didn't want to tell the front man of Incantation, but I couldn't like hide it anymore because I mean he is like a friend to me because he trusts me to handle like a verified account, you know. So I told him, and then he was like really upset about it. But then again, there's nothing we can do because um as you know, this pandemic originated in a Chinese country and I'm Chinese. So now I actually don't really see gender discrimination. I see more of like uh, a racial plus maybe like 80% racial, then like 20% gender discrimination. Yeah. So it's kind of shitty lah.
I would say for those kind of fans, like it's easy for them to just pick on something because it is like I would say like the flavor of the week in a sense, like if it's a hot topic, then they just want to pick it apart, and it just so happens
Yeah.
like because you happen to be you belong to the demographic, they find like as though like easy pickings, and also like I notice sometimes like when I go for like shows overseas, and when you tell them that you're from Asia and such, the, the way that they exclaim, it sounds as though like we're not being exposed to that kind of music at all. Which
Yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah. Like they will feel we are very backward. Like we are very like not not in the now, you know, like not in the know, you know. Yeah. Because I've never been to like Europe in general. So like I'm not sure how they perceive us before the pandemic. But I'm pretty sure like it's a lot worse now. But because you are always in Europe, so like when you were there, okay, it's my turn to ask you questions. Like like when you go to shows there, right? Like they know that you are like from Singapore, then like what is their initial reaction?
for starters, they don't even know I'm from Singapore. So
Like okay, like after you tell them,
what I've gotten most of the time is that they think that I'm from Australia or New Zealand.
oh yeah, because you don't have that that Singaporean face.
No,
Yeah,
but you know,
yeah.
but this is the thing. I also realized that it's a maybe it's like I won't call it accidental racism, but it's just like a very narrow-minded perception because they think that I'm some sort of Aborigine or some Maori guy.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They probably think like from like some tribe.
Yeah, I love tribal
Yeah.
tattoos, man.
Oh my god.
So
Yeah.
the few things that I've encountered, I thankfully I've not encountered like any form of like racism whatsoever. Aside from the for the few occasional comments thinking they just assume that when I tell them when I'm from Singapore, they just think that oh you must be like from a country that's full of money and like you guys fund China. And I'm like, what?
Yeah. You see, people always think that like oh Singapore and China are like in cahoots. Like oh they're probably like very good. They are very good like relationship. Yeah, we probably have very good like ties with China, but there's no conspiracy behind it. We don't help to fund the pandemic. Yeah. But some people just think this way, so I don't know.
And that's actually a very good question you asked me because, like you pointed out, like it's no longer just like a gender-related like discrimination. It used to be a thing in the past where people do not take
Yeah.
females in rock and metal seriously, and then
Mm.
in recent years where you see bands like Ginger and like female-oriented bands from women
Yeah.
will be represented over like Psy, for example, or Tonic.
Mm-mm.
They
Mm-mm.
begin to back off because they realize that now they cannot discriminate women
Yeah.
because now there's like actual representation of this from women. Oh, what was that? Nervosa as well, I think.
Nervosa, yeah.
Yeah. So now they cannot like use that as a basis to like project their narrow-minded or their stereotypical mentality onto others. So now the next best thing is to use race or
Mm-mm.
where you come from as a basis of their arguments. So when you say that you're from like Asia, for example, it's also very incredulous to them. Like Asia listens to rock and metal, and you're like, yeah, we have bands in our region as well. And I think the lesser form of racism comes in the form of them just assuming that it's just Japan that is able to come up with such bands.
Yeah. Like if you are from Southeast Asia, then they will like have this mindset that we are very backward. But if you are like from Japan or Korea, like even Hong Kong or Taiwan, and then they will be like, oh yeah, I listen to Platonic, I listen to ex Japan. But if you are from Singapore, they'll probably be like, huh, what? Mm, you know,
Or they just assume that you're part of China. That's like their running joke for them.
yeah, running joke since forever.
But let's
Mm,
touch back on home. So for you,
mm.
I understand. I mean, you are Singaporean, but I think you also have like roots
Yeah,
in Malaysia as well.
yeah, my dad's Malaysian.
There you go.
Mm.
So I would say like while growing up, like when you head back, okay, for example, like when you head back to Malaysia, like how's the music scene like in Malaysia as compared to Singapore? Do you actually go for shows in Malaysia?
Yeah, I do actually, but I think the scene there is actually as big as Singapore, but I feel it's a lot more controlled because of like the religion. Yeah. So like I remember in the late 90s and like early 2000s, like when you want to buy like those pirated Iron Maiden or like Metallica CDs, and then you cannot find them like on the shelf. Like if you are like if you linger in the CD shop like long enough, then the uncle will be like, oh, do you want to like buy this? Then he'll like fish out one Iron Maiden CD. But that was like probably like 15 years ago. So I'm not really sure now because I don't buy CDs anymore. I only buy like vinyl. But back then it was a lot more controlled. But back then I was obviously too young to go to shows. But for now, I mean before this whole pandemic thing, the last show I went in was in JB. So it was actually okay. Like the turnout was quite strong. So I feel the Malaysian metal scene is actually on par with Singapore. Yeah. So it's not bad. Yeah.
But most of all, like, do you have a connection with the community in Malaysia as much as you have with Singapore? Because I mean, obviously, I see you at shows most of the time in Singapore, but I wouldn't know
Mm.
if you have that kind of familiarity with the people in Malaysia.
Mm, the Malaysian metal heads that I know, they are because they are Chester's friends. So so actually, yeah, I know it's not counted, but if let's like not count Chester, my cousin, I have a Malaysian cousin. He's a frontman of a, like I would say, a groove metal band. So he I try to help him to promote because my cousin is really young. So I think he just started out only. So I in terms of like getting to know the community there, the scene there, right? It's either through my cousin or through Chester. Yeah, like on my own, I don't go to shows on my own. Yeah. Because I don't really go back to Malaysia. Like I mean now that I'm married to Chester, I go and see my in-laws, but like when I was not with him, I would only go back for Chinese New Year. So I wouldn't go back, like I wouldn't go specifically for a show. Yeah. So I guess my gateway to the Malaysian metal scene is either through like my own husband or my cousin.
But I guess it kind of counts. Like I always feel like it's very cool that you at least try to at least be on the pulse with what's going on with like the males in Malaysia as much as you try with Singapore as well. And I would say, like, to be honest, I feel like Singapore and Malaysia, we are actually not that different from one another. Aside from the fact that in Malaysia it's harder to have such shows being conducted because of, unfortunately, religious oppression and
Yeah.
a lot of restrictions. And this is something that I feel like Singaporeans in our community take it for granted. Like we complain about, like, oh, our events are being shut down, or there's complaints here and there. But
Yeah.
if you were to look at it in the bigger picture, we actually have it luckier as compared to like our neighboring countries where they have to deal with religion and actual clampdown, where it results to like people getting arrested and such.
Yeah, that's true. Like I know in Malaysia there was this venue that got raided. Like you don't see that in Singapore, you know? Yeah.
I would say in Singapore that it's just gonna be like a noise complaint here and there, and then
Yeah.
then they just like brush it off and such. And I mean,
Yeah.
also speaking of like having to deal with like scrutiny and whatnot, I'm gonna like turn things around and actually try to go on a more positive note, because I don't want it to be like a very mostly downcast episode and just everyone's gonna hear about,
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
oh man, this is so depressing. But I would say for
Yeah.
you, like I'm so aware that you are also into like the whole like J-Rock, like visual key movement. And
Yeah.
and as someone like me who's primarily like a goth kid, like I'm a goth kid by and large, but then I also got into like rock and metal, like some sort of weird crossover. But then it just becomes like a mesh of both sides, like how did you get into like rock and metal music from the existing genre that you listened to back then?
Oh, okay. When I was a lot younger, I was a cosplayer. So so I would cosplay like either like a Japanese musician or an anime character, but uh I did more J-rock cosplays than anime cosplays. So I was also playing in a J-rock cover band. So I was playing bass, and somehow it just crossed. Like I think my first exposure to the metal scene was in 2013 for the Catonic gig. So when I went to that gig, some people from the J-rock scene went to that gig as well. So that's how I got to know like some people from the metal scene. Then from 2014 onwards, I sort of like distanced myself from the J-rock scene, because I mean I have to be honest lah, the J-rock scene was already dying. Like its peak was like in 2002. Yeah. But after that, like the old timers they got married, they settled down, and then they stopped cosplaying, and then they no longer played in like J-rock cover bands. And so the scene was already dying, and I was actually looking for another outlet to go into. And I was already like listening to metal on my own, just that I didn't know how to enter the metal scene. Yeah. So back then, like prior to being with Chester, I was with a guy who absolutely hated metal. So like even like when like all those gigs in 2011, like 2012, like mm, what was that band that came out? Decapitated, is it? Like those early, like even like Grave, like those bands that came before I was with Chester, right? I was not allowed to go. So I was very disappointed. So I was like, I'm like what you call, I used to be what you call like a bedroom like metalhead. Like I will only listen in my own like privacy, because my ex-boyfriend didn't let me, and he hated metal. So in 2013 when I broke up with him, and then I was single for like a year, and then just nice Catonic came to Singapore, and then that was when I thought it was a very good chance for me to get out of the J-rock scene, the already dying J-rock scene. Yeah, but the ironic thing is that even though the J-rock scene is dying, right, I last played a J-rock gig like very recently actually. Like I last played in 2017. Yeah. So but after that the whole scene just died. Yeah. And then now those like the current J scene is like more of like J-pop, like more J, like those like basically girls like prancing around on stage. Yeah, those kind. Like nobody plays like the old school like Japanese gore style. Like nobody plays it anymore already. Yeah. So that was the era that I came from. Yeah. Like I started listening to this when I was like 11, like 99, 999. Yeah. So it just died like completely. So I thought like it was like the best time to just go into the metal scene. And then I just went, and then like here I am, I met my husband, you know. So it was a very wholesome ending. So yeah, no regrets.
Because metal guys are kind of nice. Isn't that right, Chester? He's not responding.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
nodding.
because he can't hear you. Yeah, but yeah.
Is
Because
he
I'm
game?
on AirPods, yeah.
Is he
Yeah.
gaming
And he's
again?
playing. Yeah, he's gaming, yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I was gonna make like some sort of silly joke about saying like how do you enter the metal scene? It's some gatekeeper give you like the key so that you can enter. Because you know how
Not
some
really.
you know how some communities are like, right? They have you
Yeah,
got
those like
gatekeepers and
gatekeeping,
shit.
yeah. But I don't think there are any gatekeepers in Singapore. Like, no. Yeah. We are generally quite welcoming. Yeah. Mm.
Despite our shy and reserved nature.
Yeah. But actually, remember last year, when Ricepedia did that documentary on Jarvis's show, like I thought that documentary really helped to like open the metal scene. Like I thought it was very well done lah. Yeah. So yeah. So I guess we have to thank Rachel Chan for this, this documentary. Yeah.
Yes, so I mean to be honest, I did watch that Martel feature. I'll be
Yeah.
honest with you, I was a little half-hearted about it because I felt on one hand it was good that we got some sort of exposure and it
Yeah.
shed some misconception, but also at the same time I felt there was a bit of cringe involved because I felt like the host was just, I don't know.
It was a bit campy, yeah,
Yeah,
but
there you go.
yeah, but it was a bit campy, but then again, it was also very like lighthearted. Like, can you imagine if the whole thing was just very grim and cold and like, and yeah, it will not reach the demographic that we want to, reach. Yeah.
Yeah, you know
So
what? Actually, I agree with you on that. Like, I think there's a reason why
yeah,
it needs to be done that way because it was gonna be like ultra serious and such. There's gonna be like another Vice documentary, man.
yeah, and Vice has a lot of like backlash. So yeah, no way. So I thought it was very well done. I mean, if you put aside the cringe, it was actually very, very well done. Yeah, the girl was very, willing and sporting. Yeah. So
I mean, I did attend the show when that happened. I even made a slight cameo in the video itself, which I didn't realize. It was for the weirdest frame.
yeah,
It was for the weirdest frame as well. Like someone actually captured me. Actually, someone because I was sitting down, and some guy just
yeah,
walked up to me, just like shook my hand, and it just looked really funny. I was just like, "Now people think I'm some
yeah.
sort."
You were wearing your like shades. I remember. Yeah.
That was
Then the
like
guy shook your hand. Then I was like,
that was like Godfather moment, man.
okay lah. I thought it was quite funny.
But you know what? You should touch on dying communities, for example, because I came from one myself, as you know, like I was from
Mm-mm,
SDAM, like
mm-mm,
the whole like Gothic community as well. And
mm-mm.
I think during the period of time as well, like that community was also facing a that is dying. I won't say it's dying days, but people start to not really attend those events and such, and it became like slowly becoming a footnote. And the rock and metal community, on the other hand, it was still there. I went for my first few shows, and then yes, ultimately I got in touch with Robin and like the gang, and then we all became friends for
Mm,
life.
mm.
And I would say like you're right, our community is very welcoming in the sense that you can come to a show, man, with open arms, and everyone's gonna treat you nice, and they're gonna be very hospitable about it, and it's gonna be an absolute bonus when you make more friends out of it. And I think you will also notice like when you go for shows as well, like you see everyone's so closely knit where they may not see each other on a daily basis, but they act as though that they are hanging out every single day.
Yeah, I think that's the magic of like the metal scene. Like we don't have gigs every week, but when we do go to a gig, we have this feeling like, oh, we get to see our friends, or we get to catch up, or like, oh, we get to dress up and feel like we belong. Yeah. So I mean, when this whole like pandemic thing like started, it's like a bummer lah. But I believe that it will pass very soon once we practice social distancing, blah blah blah. So yeah.
It's okay, man. I follow you on Instagram, man. Like your post says it all, man. Like social distancing did not exist.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Oh,
would
well.
say you really hit the nail on the wall when you spoke about how like when you move from like one dying set onto like another community.
Mm,
And I feel like some of these communities, like part of the reason why they either I won't say self-destruct, but mostly like implode and they start losing people, it's because of their gatekeeping mentality for one, and secondly, it's everyone's just having their own like form of disagreement whatsoever, and there's no unity, to say the least. And
yeah, I'm not very sure about the goth scene because for gatekeeping wise for the J-rock scene there wasn't really much gatekeeping, but I think the reason why the scene died was because uh the J-rock bands that we liked ditched their image for more like contemporary look. So like all those like flowy dresses and like big hair, like they just stopped doing it. Like as they got older, they ditched the look, they ditched the sound. So for all of us like diehards, like we just became very disappointed. Yeah, like we still love the band, but we always we just wish they would go back to their roots. Yeah, so that was for the J-rock scene. That was why the J-rock scene died. Yeah. So what about the gothic scene? Like why did it were there a lot of gatekeepers? Like
uh
I really have no clue
I
at all.
wouldn't say they were gatekeepers, but I would say they were like a few like polarizing figures. And unfortunately, I felt that like my main reason for like living all together was because the person who like took charge of it or kind of like spearheaded the whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
he sees it as a business and he wants to like just wants money out of people and doesn't see it as a passion. And that was something that I couldn't agree with, because for me, like, you know, if I'm into something, it doesn't have to be about making money or try to monetize or try to turn it into like a business. Like for me, like it has to be means of passion first, and to get
Mm.
people to get people together from all walks of life and whatever respective platforms that they believe in the Gothic community. But that was not the case, you know, in the long run. And there was also problems in trying to get venues to host like these events, because to be fair, like if you want to host a Gothic event and if the bar is willing to provide that space for the evening, it needs to come with money. It needs to come with profits for them for the night. Otherwise, they're gonna bleed money. And unfortunately, these events didn't exactly rake in the cash. Especially when you got like younger kids coming in, like you cannot expect them to spend like $14 on a drink.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the main reasons why. And the other reason, of course, like I said earlier, is because of mismanagement, where the the mindset of turning it into like some sort of a business clash with what
Mm.
it should really be all about. And it's something that I still do not agree with to this day, regardless of whichever community I'm in. I feel that if you're talking about passions, you're talking about the things that you like, it should be about doing it because you love what you're doing and not because you want to make money out of it. Because if that is your intention, then you're in the wrong industry, you know?
Yeah.
Especially in Singapore, like you can't really make money out of entertainment, especially for like subcultures. Like if you were to ask like the guys who host gigs and everything, like they can tell you that they are struggling to even break even.
Yeah, definitely. Like
Because
we cannot compare like Singapore to maybe like Europe, because I know like the gothic scene in Europe is like so big. They have like gothic festivals. I know in Germany they have what wave gothic treffen or something like that, like some huge festival. So it's like it's been running for like so long, like over a decade, I think. So it's like in Singapore, if you want to do something like that, is you either go bankrupt or you just you just be super broke. So I guess like you said, that guy wanted to monetize the subculture. I guess he had this mindset lah, like, oh, if I continue promoting my passion in Singapore, I'll be like dead as broke. Yeah, so that was probably why he did it lor. Yeah.
I think it was more like, yeah, I think it was more like a grandiose idea as well. Like I think maybe it's like maybe blind perception, I would say. because I'm more of a realist. Like I try to like look at situations, try to understand like the target audience and the demographic that we have. And I realized that for us to organize such things, like it can only be done at a smaller scale, and it needs to be maybe like a collaboration with other people in order for it to work. So at least you can like get people for the Gothic community and maybe something that is similar to it. You cannot get a purely Gothic scene because it is so vague by and large. You have Gothic music, you have Gothic fashion, you have Gothic literature. You've got a lot of things like that, and when you have so many like subgroups in a really small community, it's really hard to sustain to do it on a regular basis. Like you need to like plan it out. But I'll say this is different for like the metal community, rock metal community, where the common interest is music, and it's actually very easy because you got doom metal, death metal, black metal, and that sort of thing. And you can even have like mixed genre gigs as well, because people can collaborate, and you will be assured of some attendees and such. Speaking of the Gothic festivals, I hate to say it, but I'm kind of jealous of my girlfriend because she lives in Germany and she gets to go for these kind of events.
Yeah, exactly. You see,
she was sending me like a photo of like Wave Gothic Traffic that she attended with a friend like last year or so, and I saw it and I was just like, I'm jealous. If she's listening to this, I still love her, but I'm jealous that she gets to go for Wave Gothic Traffic.
I don't even know her and I'm jealous.
But the other thing, like we were talking about visual kei as well, like when I was a teenager, I'm not familiar with that genre, I'll be honest with you. Like I think the first wave of like bands that I'm aware of was through an ex-bandmate of mine, and she was listening to bands like, let's see, X Japan, Lunacy, and she got me introduced to this band, which I would say was one that really caught my eye, and that was Dylan Gray. Because they were like a crossover of sorts, in the sense that they have the visual elements of what visual kei was all about. But also the kind of music they play, like it crosses over to that other community as well. So for you, like, were there any bands that similar in the vein of say Dylan Gray that exposed you to, I would say, both communities or both interests?
As mainstream as it sounds, my most favorite visual kei band is Dylan Gray, because my number one idol is the bassist of Dylan Gray. So like he's actually the reason why I picked up bass. Yeah. So like he's like, like how like K-pop fans like idolize like those like pretty boys. Like then we will just laugh at them. Like I will laugh at them, but then I will also secretly like feel ashamed because I'm doing it to like the basis of Dylan Gray. But mine is not like on like a fanatical level. Like I don't like pay. Like they recently, like Dylan Gray recently did a gig in Germany. So but I'm not like that fanatical enough to apply leave and to fly to Germany. Like I believe that I will see them in Southeast Asia one day, but maybe not now. So like what you say, Dylan Gray, they are very mixed elements. They have a lot of mixed elements. They ditched their visual kei image in 2001, and then they became like more groove metal. And then in 2010, for some odd reason, they adopted a very deathcore sound. So which I didn't like because they sounded like Suicide Silence. Like I'm sorry, but I just don't like Suicide Silence. So they went through this phase for a long time until 2016. They became more nu metal. Like I'm okay with nu metal, so I still follow them to this day, and they are actually one of the very few visual kei bands I've been following since '97. Yeah, so I feel they dabble and they balance very well between visual kei and maybe like modern metal or contemporary metal. So they are the only band that I feel balance these two subcultures very well. And actually there are a lot of people in the metal scene that like Dylan Gray, like Payan. He's a damn big fan of Dylan Gray actually.
Really?
Like it was like he asked me last year like where can I get Dylan Gray like shirts. Then I was so shocked. Like well, I was like, wait, how do you know that I like Dylan Gray? But I did tell him. So once in a while on my Facebook, I will just post like pictures of the bassist, and then he will like give like a heart react. Yeah, like he's like the only one in the metal scene I know that's like huge Durham Gray fan. Yeah, I know it's very surprising, but yeah, Payan is a Durham Gray fan. Yeah.
And he didn't tell it to us. He has a lot of explanation to do, man. But I would say like but then at the same time, I'm not exactly surprised that Darren Gray has fans in like the rock and metal scene, because like I said earlier, like they're one of those few like usually key bands that has like a crossover appeal where they are able to engage in various demographics. And I remember like the first time I knew about them was like, again, through like my magazine years where they were being interviewed, and I saw like their MV. I honestly can't tell you which MV it was. I need to look it up, but I checked it out and I was just bowled over because it was really good and the music was good as well. Even though I could not understand a single word that he said.
Yeah.
But it's like the visual elements like just captures your eye right away. You're like, man, these guys are like crazy fanatical, but I like their aesthetic because there's like that the gothic element to it as well. There's that shock factor as well. And then for me, I was just hooked, you know. I'm not the biggest Dylan Gray fan. I'm not Payan, but I can understand where their appeal comes from. I mean, that leads me to my next point. How do you feel about seeing like bands like them, or even bands like Tonic, for example, that are not from Japan, now getting a more global audience through their music? Like, what does it mean to you to see these bands succeeding in a worldwide stage?
For the Angry, like they have a lot of fans in Japan. Yes, their domestic fan base is very big. But if you're talking about international fan base, right? I feel their biggest international fan base is in Russia. They have crazy Russian fans. Like really, it's like so scary. And then next is US, and then Finland, and then yeah, so on and so forth. And then it comes to Singapore and everything. But to see them like really like go out of their homeland, like their country, it's not bad, because I know they have headline like Download Festival, Ozfest, I think. Yeah, and then they were just playing in Germany and in New York and in Finland, like in January of this year only, like just before the whole lockdown thing. So sometimes like when I manage like Chester's band, then I will like look up to all these bands, like these Asian bands that started out as like very small bands. They play in very small gigs. Like for Dungry, right? Okay, just to give you a history, they started out as like not called Dungry, they were called something else, and they were only playing like in very small in Japan, they call small gig places, right? They call it a live house. So they would play in very tiny live houses in the early 90s. And look at them now, like they are just like, I don't know, they don't even need to perform, they are like so rich already. And then they have fans in Russia, they have fans like that don't even speak the language. So I always tell myself like if they can be like that one day, I'm pretty sure like bands in Singapore, like not only Chester's bands, like other bands in Singapore, like smaller not so popular bands, like we don't talk about like Wormrod or like Invitee, but like maybe like bands that only have like one or two albums out. Like I'm pretty sure one day they can, like play in another country or like play in another continent. Yeah, but it just takes time lah. But I think it's a lot easier now, because now we have like Instagram and Facebook. Like for Dengray, they probably work their asses off lah. But like now we have Instagram, now we got Bandcamp, we got Spotify, so yeah, and YouTube.
So I'll disqualify my one time doing like a impromptu karaoke on stage in Germany as not a live performance. So I've not made it big just yet. I mean, there were people taking photos of me. I guess that was like my 4 minutes of fame, but doesn't count. but also like you're right, like when you say like you want to see like bands of like of a lesser following, like there's not Wormrod or Empire. it's always awesome to see like your other bands outside of those like coming up and performing elsewhere. Like for example, back in like the 2010s or so, like Xanadu was doing that. They went to
Yeah.
Europe, they performed, and they got some sort of recognition. I think Rudra would be the other name that we can mention, but Rudra is of course like is spoken in the same breath as Wormrod and Impiety because they work really hard
They're
to.
around for a long time also. They've been around for so long. Yeah.
But now, like I see bands like Truth Be Known. They perform in Australia, and to me, that's really like a huge step because they are like leaving our shores to like, perform elsewhere, and now like my friends in Australia are able to experience that Truth Be Known vibe. I don't like some of the content that they have mostly like local references. Obviously, it might not be easy to
Yeah.
understand. Like the Australians do not know what marling is, man. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's really cool. Like I like to see like more and more like local bands like going out there and just like doing shows elsewhere.
Yeah, but I would think it's very hard work. But for True Pino, right? I mean, you gotta be honest lah. They are very charismatic. Like all of them. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if they can land gigs in Australia, or I think they just played in Taiwan, right? Like
Yeah,
recently. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised. But like for okay, let's talk about Chester. He's an introvert. So it's like his persona on stage and his persona off stage is so different. So if he wants to go to progress as fast as True Be Known, it will take him a lot more effort. Yeah. So I believe that bands with smaller following in Singapore can make it as big. I mean, we don't talk about like Wormrod level, but maybe like True Be Known. I'm sure we can achieve that level, but maybe in a longer timeline. Yeah.
and I would say like it also helps that you have relations with Incantation, and I think that through that friendship, I would say
Yeah.
it also helps in me getting like shows in the US in the near future as well. I mean, hopefully when everything dies down and people be a little more accepting, because like we spoke about it earlier, like it's really tough to be a band that is not from Japan trying to do shows like elsewhere because of the negative connotations that we have to deal with. And
Yeah.
I really hope that this changes like over time because like it's the 21st century, man. People are living like all over the world. Like you shouldn't act so surprised when you see somebody from a certain country looking unlike your mental identikit, so to speak. But I would say like Chester's band, like Dispiteous, I love watching them. Like they're fun. It took me a while to get used to the fact that that was Chester on stage because like you're married.
Yeah.
I'm friends with him, and to see like a different Chester is just
Yeah.
it's kind of like mind-boggling. Like you're like, man, the guy's pretty aggro, man. Like guy's like pretty like intimidating, and then he goes off stage. It's
Yeah.
like he's just walking like the typical Chester face, like,
Yeah.
and they're like, yep, that's my buddy, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so final question would be more towards you as an individual and whether you have had like girls or like women like coming up to you and like talk about how they look up to you as a representative or some sort of a role model. Like, have you ever had that experience? Or people like telling you that, oh man, Steph, like I think you're really awesome. Like you're so cool. Like I want to be like you. Like, have you had that kind of engagement with females? Because I understand like it's always great to have some sort of representation in the raw metal community. Like if you have like a minority or like a female or like someone who's from the LGBTQ community, like it's always nice to have that person representing the scene and to have those people who can relate to looking up to you. So have you had that kind of engagement or that kind of communication so far?
Wow, this is like blowing my own horn, Okay lah. Actually, in the local scene, no, but on the internet, as in my online presence, yes. Girls that are a lot younger than me will message me, and they will ask like, when you got your tattoos, like, did your parents scold you, or how do you get your parents to allow you to get tattoos? How do you dress a certain way? You know, like girls like from other parts of the world, they just ask me, like girls in their early 20s, like they just ask me, and then I'll just say like if you are truly passionate and you feel that it's not like a phase, then you just go for it. You know what, tattoos are permanent. I mean, don't like get it at the spur of the moment and then you regret. Yeah, so I guess in the local scene, no, because first of all, the girls in the scene, we are all friends, like we know each other, you know what I mean? Like it's the minority, we are like the minority. So and then Singapore is already so small, so like you know, like Tina, or like, you know, like Shamila, you know, we all know each other. So there's like maybe those that just attend gigs, like unfamiliar faces, I don't really see any, because the country is already so small, so we are actually all friends. So but for my online presence, yes, I do get girls like saying that they want to look like me, or like they feel that I represent a minority in the Chinese metalhead community, like as a female, you know, because like if you want to be very traditional, nobody wants to marry a Chinese girl with tattoos. I mean, let's be real. Yeah, but I I just don't want to follow, you know, that tradition. and and I'm very thankful to have a very open uh family. Like, but I gotta be honest, like my mom cried like crazy when I got my first tattoo, and she didn't talk to me for like 1 week. But then my dad was like, what the fuck, it's just a tattoo. Yeah, so then after that they're all like okay. So if you have any like young and like impressionable girls watching, like, you know, all your episodes, that my only advice is to just follow your passion. And you know, like we don't have to listen to what uh tradition has dictate us to be, you know, like we don't have to be a housewife, we don't have to be uh uh that, you know, that conservative Chinese woman. Yeah, like if you like metal, then just fuck it lah, just go to gigs, you know, wear what you want. If you want to get a tattoo, you think twice, but just go and get it if you want, you know. And just what others think lah. And to me, I feel with the current like pandemic, right, like it just puts us Chinese people in like a bad light. Yeah, so to me, I feel because you know now 3/4 of the world is like in quarantine, so might as well just, you know, use this time to be more open-minded, you know,
Right.
like listen to more obscure bands, listen to more underground Asian bands, you know, and be less of a racist prick lah. Yeah.
Right. Hey, Steph. Hey, thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
I'm gonna call it a day, and thank you for taking the time, man, for dropping by. Hey, see you
Yeah.
around, dude.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Chester.
Wait. He says bye. Bye bye.
Bye.